Hi, welcome back. In this video, we're continuing to look at operations on functions. In this video, we are going to talk about composition of functions. Composition of functions is sometimes written f of g of x. We sometimes will read this as fog. This is a small o that is written kind of in the middle between the f and the g. Another way of writing this that is a little bit more intuitive is to write this as f of g of x. In our other operations on functions, what we had been doing is we had two functions, f and g. We were taking an input and simultaneously putting the input into my function f and my function g, applying some operation to those values and getting out f and g. And then either adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing. In this case, this function or this operation becomes a little bit more complicated. What ends up happening is that the output of g becomes the input of f. So looking at our machine here, we are going to have some input x that is going to go into our machine. So the machine is basically just a simple thing. We put in an x value and we get out some other value. So we have an input and an output that we're interested in. What's happening inside the machine is, unlike our f function, where in this particular f function, we took our inputs, squared them, and subtracted 4. In this case, the input of this function, or what's happening inside this function, isn't just a simple square the value and subtract 4. In this case, what ends up happening is our x value goes into the function, and it actually enters the g function. When it leaves the g function, so we get some operation on the value of x. So if we're looking at this as our g function, we take that x value, multiply it by 2, and add 1, and we end up getting out a g of x value. That g of x output is now input into my f function. So whatever I got out of the g function goes into my f function and has this rule applied. So in this case, it's x squared minus 4. So whatever goes in, whatever value of g of x goes into f is going to be squared and 4 will be subtracted. And out of that, I get f of g of x. And that value that comes out is the output of my f of g of x function. So I have some input x that goes through g, the output of g goes through f, and whatever comes out of that is my function. In the next video, we're going to look at an example of how this works.